Inside a busy primary school classroom in the seaside town of Saldanha Bay, South Africa, one chair is left empty. This is where 6-year-old Joslin Smith used to sit until she went missing in February of last year. Her disappearance sparked a nationwide search, unearthing a chilling tale of betrayal, addiction, and unimaginable loss. On February 19, 2024, Joslin was reported missing by her mother Kelly Smith, who claimed that she left Joslin in the care of her boyfriend Jacquin Appollis while she went to work. But when she returned home, Joslin was gone. The community rallied in searching for Joslin, hoping to bring the little girl with bright green eyes home. Police officers, firefighters, city authorities, sniffer dog units, and even the South African Navy joined the search. But what began as a desperate mission to find the missing child soon unraveled into something far darker. This is the African True Crime Podcast. Please consider subscribing to our channel so that we can continue covering more stories like this. 2 weeks after Joslin disappeared, police arrested her mother Kelly Smith along with her boyfriend Jacquin Appollis and 2 other suspects, Steveno van Rhyn and Phumza Sigaqa. The 4 suspects appeared in court on March 7th of this year, facing charges of human trafficking and kidnapping. Attorney Rinesh Sivnarayan read Kelly Smith's account of the day her daughter went missing in court. Smith said on the morning of February 19, 2024, she woke up and began getting ready for work as usual. She told Joslin and her brother that they wouldn't be going to school that day because their uniforms were dirty. After preparing herself for the day, she dropped her youngest child off at daycare and headed to her job where she worked as a domestic waiter. She described having a cup of coffee with her employer, but by midday she borrowed 50 rands, money that she admitted using to buy drugs. She then returned home, where she and her boyfriend Jacquin Appollis smoked tick, a potent methamphetamine. Joslin and her sibling were still in the house at this time. Mind you, this is all according to Kelly's claims. After getting high, Kelly returned to work around 1 p.m., but by late afternoon, just before 5 p.m., she borrowed another 200 rands and went back home where she found Appollis and their friend Steveno van Rhyn. When she asked them where the children were, they told her Joslin's brother was with his godfather and Joslin herself was playing around. Worried, Smith claimed that she checked with a neighbor who said the children had gone to the park. Despite being worried, she told Appollis that they should go to the shop to buy gas before it closed, and on their way back home, they bought more drugs and smoked them as soon as they returned home. Shortly after, Joslin's brother came back. She asked him if he'd seen his sister, and he simply said no. Smith said that this is when the panic began setting in, and she sent him back to the park to look for his sister, but he returned alone, saying no one was there. She said that she then told her neighbor that Joslin was missing, and together they began knocking on doors, searching the neighborhood for the little girl. But hours passed, and Smith, growing more frantic with each moment, decided to call the police just after 9 p.m. When police arrived, she jumped into their car and they drove through the streets of Saldanha Bay, searching relentlessly into the early hours of February 20th. But Joslin was nowhere to be found. Evidence, along with testimony from a state witness, painted a grim picture of a family consumed by drug addiction and desperation. But Smith still maintains that she doesn't know what had happened to her daughter. The state alleges in its indictment that Kelly Smith had allegedly been planning to sell her children as early as August of 2023, and the plan was for this to happen in January or February of 2024. So by the time this happened, she had been planning this for about 6 months, allegedly. Mind you, she has 3 kids, 1 boy and 2 girls, and Joslin is the second born. Prosecutors believe that she and the others conspired to abduct Joslin and intentionally sold, delivered, or exchanged her. And even witnesses testified that Smith, Appollis, and Van Rhyn conspired to hand Joslin over to an unknown buyer. They also allege that Smith and Joslin were seen getting into a white vehicle with a bag of clothes the day that the girl was reported missing. In the days after Joslin's disappearance, local media reported that neighbors had accused Smith of selling her daughter for just over $1,000 US. And a child's clothing was later recovered near the settlement of the small houses where Joslin lived, and it was sent to a laboratory for forensic examination. Community members who were involved in the search said the clothing was spattered with blood and a knife was also found, though police didn't give any more details on what was discovered. According to another testimony that was heard on the fourth day of this kidnapping and human trafficking trial, the missing 6-year-old girl's mother, Kelly Smith, during her initial interactions with the police, was saying things like, "My child Joslin has made me famous." And evidence was also presented about efforts that were made to arrange accommodation for Kelly to coincide with a visit by former Police Minister Bexley. However, Kelly was not satisfied because it could only house women, and she insisted on being with her boyfriend and co-accused Appollis. Alternative accommodation was then arranged for the couple, which had been offered by a resident of Jacksonville. However, Kelly had not made any request for her other 2 children to stay with her. She only insisted on staying with her boyfriend. The first few days after Joslin's disappearance was accompanied by some racial tension within colours and black members of the community following the arrest of Ms. Sigaqa, a black person. She was caught up in a maelstrom of rumors, and media reports incorrectly identified her as a traditional healer or sangoma. But Ms. Sigaqa has since been freed after charges against her were withdrawn due to a lack of evidence, and she has since left her home, which is just a few meters away from where Joslin lived, following threats from members of the community. The 32-year-old said in an interview with National Television Newsroom Africa that police tortured her while she was in custody, though the police have not yet responded to these allegations. Meanwhile, Lalancia Lombard, who is referred to as Reigns throughout court proceedings, and is reportedly the last person to have seen Joslin, was arrested last year, but the charges were withdrawn, and she has since turned state witness. The National Prosecuting Authority confirmed that she made a confession, though its details remain under wraps. Despite the shocking revelations and mounting evidence, Joslin has not been found. Her school and friends remain hopeful, with classmates singing her favorite hymns and growing a plant in her honor. On the wall of the entrance hall, messages of support surround her portrait. Judge Nathan Erasmus warned that if convicted, the accused could face life imprisonment. Yet, for Joslin's neighbors and loved ones, no sentence could fill the void left by her absence. Police have renewed calls for every citizen, every person to help find Joslin amid fears that she may have been taken to a different city or even out of the country. In the words of local government official Teresa Leroy, people say that she just vanished, but people do not just vanish. Everybody sees something, whether it's stuck in your mind and you forget about it and later you remember, but somebody must have seen her somewhere. Somebody must have seen who she was with. Somewhere, someone knows what happened to Joslin Smith. And until the truth comes to light, a small town by the sea waits, hoping for answers. This is the African True Crime Podcast. Thank you for listening. Please consider subscribing to our channel so that we can continue covering more stories like this. Until next time, stay safe.